Hi, I'm Matt Dietrich from Reboot, Illinois, and welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly video recap. I'm here with Madeline Dubeck at the Gorton Community Center in Lake Forest, where we just had a really good forum featuring 4 great guests. We had 2 state representatives and 2 CEOs, one from the private sector and one from a service provider providing services to the developmentally disabled. Our politicians were Representative Scott Drury, who is a Democrat
freshman Democrat from this area, and David Harris, who's an Arlington Heights Republican and has been in the House of Representatives on and off for quite some time. Real diversity of opinion here this evening. I think one of the things that was reinforced for me is that this whole budget crisis and financial crisis in Illinois is really complicated, very difficult to solve. The tax question isn't going away, probably. And, you know, we all think that it's easy to cut. It's not so easy to cut the amount of money that would need to be cut. So, you know, and real people are hurt by these decisions that get made or don't get made or get put off. And that's really, I think, a tremendous value that the private CEOs provided for us tonight.
The discussion covered a lot of different things. We covered taxes, we covered competitiveness in Illinois, we covered social service providers who are really struggling to get paid. So let's go take a look at some highlights. Madeline moderated the discussion. Let's take a look at what our panelists had to say. It was a really thoughtful and pretty in-depth discussion.
On Wednesday they hear doomsday budget if we don't do this, and on Thursday they hear that we're not going to raise the taxes and everything's going to be flat, and so things won't get better, but they won't get dramatically worse. And I asked the question, what does the public think about that? How do they believe us when we play chicken with the public? They heard agency B. No one is safe when the truth doesn't matter anymore. No one.
On March the 26th, the governor of this state stood up at the podium in the House of Representatives, and I have his quotes in memory, and he said, if we do not continue the extension of the tax, these are quotes, seniors will be thrown out of nursing homes, veterans will be thrown out of veterans homes, we will starve our schools. Those are his words, okay? Nobody believed him. What we cobbled together was a basically hold the line maintenance budget. And as a matter of fact, education is going to get $116 million more than it got the year before. And oh, by the way, with all this doomsday talk, the Chicago Public School retirement system is going to get $50 million that they haven't gotten for the past 5 years. And oh, by the way, there's a $50 million grant to the Secretary of State to build schools in the city of Chicago. For all the talk of doomsday, if we don't extend the tax increase, guess what? We're going to get through FY15.
Yeah. I just have to make one note. Sure. On all of by the ways, people with disabilities asked for $30 million this year for increases in wages, and we got 0.
Right. Okay.
Of the $30 million, the state would get $15 million back from the feds. So it really was only $15 million for this year.
As a business executive, you look at all of this and you think what, and it affects you how?
Yeah, I think it's not unique to Stericycle, but I think any business has to make decisions on where do they locate, where do they add positions, trying to attract new talent. We're now 15,000 employees worldwide, but of that 15,000, less than 1,000 are in Illinois. And new employees look at it and they may be saying, well, I'm looking at taking this job or this opportunity, but you know, the property taxes are high, and it's also an uncertainty factor. It's a fundamental credibility where people look and say, well, you know, what's Moody's going to do on the rating? Is the state going to just continue to go in debt? Is it going to pass more budgets that are unfunded?
Our workers' comp costs are 3.5 times higher than what they are in Indiana. So Doug Oberhelman, the CEO of Caterpillar, has said, I'm not going to build another plant in Illinois as long as my workers' comp costs are 3.5 times higher than what they are in Indiana.
But one of my biggest gripes is we say we're going to roll it back to 3.75 and then we do all of these tricks to make it feel better. And I am a firm believer that, you know, the public should get the government is willing to pay for it. When we have all this borrowing and all of these tricks, we're not really paying for the government we want. And so the question becomes, do we really want all of that government or do we not? And so I've been a passionate proponent of let's roll it back, and if people want the tax at 3.75, then give them that government. And maybe we'll be fine. If it's not the government we want, then I think the public would get more invested in it and say, this isn't the, why are there 60 kids in my kids' schools? Why are the roads falling apart? Why are we letting prisoners go? People need to see reality, and then we can make real decisions. But we always make it seem better than it is, and so it's hard again for us to convince you what is right and what is wrong, because in the end we always seem to come up with a way to pay for it and push it off to our kids.
Well, 4 years ago, in FY11, our general revenue fund receipts were $27 billion. $27 billion. Our general revenue fund receipts this year, this current year, and again next year, this year it's $36 billion. We've taken in $9 billion more dollars in 4 years. That's a 33% increase in 4 years. So it's very difficult for me to say we need more money.
Well, those are some of our highlights from our discussion here tonight in Lake Forest. We hope to have a lot more of those as time goes on throughout the state. If we do come to your area, we hope you'll come out and participate. We had a good crowd tonight, a lot of good questions. We hope you'll learn something from this, and we hope you'll come back next week for the next edition of Only in Illinois.